The truck driver slammed his foot on the brakes, his heart leaping into his throat. The highway was empty at this hour, just past midnight, except for the massive shape standing right in the middle of the road. His headlights illuminated the golden mane of a lion, its body tense, eyes fixed on him. For a moment, the driver thought he was imagining things. A lion? Here? This wasn't a wildlife reserve. This was a highway leading out of a quiet town. He fumbled for his phone, his hands trembling as he dialed emergency services. There's a lion on the highway. It's just standing there, not moving. I don't know what to do." The dispatcher on the other end didn't question him. Maybe she could hear the fear in his voice. "Stay in your vehicle, sir. Do not honk or make sudden movements. Help is on the way." The driver barely registered her words as he stared at the lion. Something was off. The animal wasn't baring its teeth or acting aggressively. It didn't even seem scared. It just stood there, as if waiting for something. Minutes crawled by, and the driver watched the lion shift slightly, glancing back toward the side of the road. That was when he noticed it. The reason why the lion was there. Just a few feet away, in the ditch by the road, lay a motionless figure. His stomach twisted. Was that another lion? A cub? A person? He couldn't tell from this distance. The animal turned its head back toward him, and for a moment their eyes met. There was something there, not wild aggression, not mindless instinct. Something deeper. A plea. A desperate, silent cry for help. The driver didn't know why, but he felt it. This lion wasn't blocking the road by chance. It was asking for something. And suddenly, waiting for the rescue team felt like an eternity. The driver's breath came in shallow bursts as he kept his eyes locked on the lion. Every instinct told him to stay put, but something in the way the animal stood, strong yet anxious, made him hesitate. He glanced toward the ditch again. The shape in the darkness wasn't moving. His fingers tightened around the steering wheel. Was it even alive? In the distance, the faint wail of sirens grew louder, breaking the eerie stillness of the night. The lion's ears twitched, but it didn't flinch or run. Instead, it turned its head toward the sound and then back to the ditch. As the first rescue vehicle pulled up behind his truck, a pair of wildlife rangers stepped out cautiously, flashlights in hand. "Stay inside," one of them called to the driver. The second ranger moved carefully, his eyes locked on the lion. "It's not acting aggressive," he murmured to his partner. "It's protecting something." The driver leaned out his window. "There's something in the ditch," he called, his voice tight. "I don't know what it is, but I think it's why the lion won't move." The rangers exchanged a quick glance before shifting their focus. One of them directed his flashlight toward the roadside, scanning the shadows. A few more steps forward, and then, "Oh, God," the first ranger whispered. The beam of light landed on a smaller lion, its body half hidden by tall grass. It was lying still, its chest barely rising and falling. "A cub," the second ranger confirmed, "and it's hurt." The standing lion let out a low, rumbling sound, more sorrowful than threatening. It took a single step back, as if giving them space, but its eyes remained locked on them. "It led us here," the first ranger murmured. "It was never trying to block the road, it was trying to save its cub." The weight of those words sank deep into the driver's chest. This wasn't just a wild animal on the highway. This was a parent, refusing to leave its child behind. The rangers moved carefully, their every motion slow and deliberate. The lion watched them, muscles tense, but it didn't growl or tack. It was as if it understood. They were here to help. The second ranger knelt by the cub, reaching out with gloved hands. His breath hitched as he examined the tiny body. "Still breathing," he whispered. "But it's weak. Looks like it might have been hit by a vehicle." The first ranger cursed under his breath. Whoever did this probably didn't even stop. He glanced back at the adult lion, whose golden eyes never left his partner. This has to be the mother. She wouldn't leave it. The mother lion let out another soft rumble, a sound full of grief and urgency. It wasn't a threat, it was a plea. The ranger on the ground carefully lifted the cub, cradling it close. It let out a faint whimper, its small body barely reacting. The mother lion took a step forward, her massive paws pressing against the pavement, but she didn't lunge. She was scared, desperate, but she was trusting them. "We need to get the cub to the rescue center," the second ranger said. "But the mother, she won't leave." The first ranger shook his head. "Not unless she knows we're not taking it away for good." The driver, still watching from his truck, spoke up. "What if she follows? Would that be safe?" The rangers hesitated. It was a risk, leading a full-grown lion toward human territory. But looking at the mother now, standing still despite her instincts, something told them she wouldn't attack. "She's already put her trust in us," the second ranger said, shifting the cub in his arms. "Let's make sure we don't break it." The first ranger nodded and turned back to the lion. Slowly, he gestured toward their vehicle, speaking softly as if the animal could understand. "We'll take your baby where it can be healed," he murmured. "You can come too." The mother lion didn't blink. Then, as the ranger carefully carried her cub toward the rescue truck, she took a cautious step forward, and then another. She wasn't attacking, she wasn't running, she was following. The drive to the rescue center was unlike anything the rangers had ever experienced. The cub lay on a blanket in the back seat of their truck, barely moving, while the mother lion trotted along behind them, her golden form illuminated by their taillights. No one spoke as they drove at a careful pace, afraid that any sudden movement might startle her. The mother kept her distance but never once veered off course. She wasn't chasing them, she wasn't hunting. She was simply making sure her cub wasn't taken away forever. The driver, still shaken, followed at a distance in his truck. He could barely process what he was witnessing. A wild lion, one of nature's fiercest predators, placing all her trust in a handful of humans. When they reached the rescue center, the rangers parked near the entrance. The facility was small but well-equipped, with a team on standby after the urgent call. The moment they opened the truck door, the mother lion let out a low, cautious sound from a few yards away. "It's okay," the second ranger murmured. "We're not hurting it." The cub let out a weak whimper as they carried it inside. The mother paced near the fence, her tail flicking in agitation. She didn't roar or charge. She was waiting, watching. The veterinary team rushed in, working quickly. The cub had suffered internal injuries and a broken leg, likely from being hit by a vehicle. It was malnourished, weak, but there was a chance. The rangers stepped outside, glancing at the mother lion, who had settled into a tense crouch just beyond the fence. Her eyes flicked from the door to their faces, searching for answers. "She won't leave," one of the staff members said, peering through the window. "She's waiting to know if her baby is safe." The first ranger exhaled. "Then we'll make sure she knows." Moving slowly, he grabbed a blanket that carried the cub's scent and carefully placed it just beyond the gate, within the mother's reach. She hesitated for only a second before stepping forward, pressing her nose into the fabric. A deep, rumbling sigh escaped her, and for the first time that night her body seemed to relax. "She knows," the second ranger whispered. "She knows we're helping." The mother lion didn't leave. She curled up right there, outside the rescue center's gate, her head resting on her paws. She would wait for as long as it took. The night passed in tense silence. The mother lion never moved from her spot outside the gate, her massive body still except for the slow rise and fall of her breathing. She didn't roar, didn't pace, just waited, her ears twitching at every sound from inside the rescue center. Inside, the veterinary team worked tirelessly. The cub was in bad shape, but they were doing everything they could, stabilizing its breathing, treating its internal injuries, setting its broken leg. The rangers stayed close, watching the process unfold with bated breath. As dawn began to break, the lead veterinarian stepped into the waiting area, rubbing tired eyes. The first ranger sat up straight. "How is it?" The vet sighed. "It's weak, but it made it through the night. We'll have to monitor it closely, but there's hope." A wave of relief washed over the group. The ranger glanced at the door leading outside. She needs to know. They approached cautiously, but the mother lion was already alert. The moment she spotted them, she lifted her head, eyes sharp with anticipation. One of the rangers held up the same blanket they had used before, now carrying fresh traces of the cub's scent. The mother lion stood, muscles tensed, waiting for their next move. "Let's try something," the second ranger murmured. With slow, careful steps, they opened the gate just enough to place the blanket inside. Then they stepped back. The mother lion hesitated only briefly before stepping forward, her nose pressing into the fabric. A soft, deep rumble escaped her, an unmistakable sound of recognition. "She knows it's alive," the driver whispered, watching from a distance. The mother lion looked past the rangers, toward the rescue center's doors. She wanted to see her cub. The lead veterinarian exhaled. "She can't come inside, but maybe there's another way." They thought quickly, moving a stretcher with the cub closer to a reinforced window. The mother lion approached the glass, pressing her nose against it as she caught sight of her baby. The moment she saw it breathing, she let out a low, almost purring sound, a sound of relief. For the first time since she had stepped onto the highway, she wasn't tense. She wasn't desperate. She knew her cub was safe, and for now, that was enough. Days passed, and the mother lion never left the rescue center's perimeter. She remained near the gate, resting in the shade during the day and standing watch at night. The staff brought her water and left the food at a safe distance, though she barely touched it. She had one priority: her cub. Inside, the little lion was slowly recovering. It was still weak, its movement sluggish, but it was improving. The veterinarians monitored its condition closely, ensuring it was fed, hydrated, and given the care it needed. The rangers often caught the mother watching through the reinforced window, her golden eyes locked onto her baby. "She's waiting for the moment she can take it back," the second ranger murmured one evening as they watched her from a distance. The first ranger nodded. "She hasn't given up on it, not for a second." The bond between them was undeniable. The mother had risked everything, blocking a highway, placing her trust in humans, following them to an unfamiliar place, all for her cub. But she didn't belong here. The rescue team knew they couldn't keep the cub forever. It needed time to heal, but eventually it would have to go back to the wild. And when that moment came, they knew its mother had to be the one waiting for it. So they came up with a plan. "We'll need to make sure the cub is strong enough," the lead veterinarian said. "No point in releasing it if it can't keep up with her." Over the next week, the team did everything they could to speed the cub's recovery. They carefully moved it outside into an enclosed rehabilitation space, allowing it to feel the sun on its fur again. They encouraged small movements, helping it rebuild strength in its injured leg. And every time the mother lion caught sight of it moving on its own, she let out a soft, deep rumble, her way of calling out, reminding it that she was still there. Then, one morning, the lead veterinarian stood before the rangers with a firm nod. "It's time." The cub wasn't fully healed yet, but it was strong enough to walk, to move. Most importantly, it was ready to go back where it belonged. The rangers glanced at the mother lion, still patiently waiting outside the gate. She had trusted them to care for her cub. Now, it was time to trust her in return. The rangers worked quietly, preparing for the release. The mother lion stood alert near the gate, sensing something was different. This wasn't another routine check. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The cub, though still a little wobbly, was standing on its own. Its golden fur had regained some of its sheen, and its injured leg, while not fully healed, was strong enough to support its small frame. The mother let out a deep, longing sound when she saw it, her tail flicking with anticipation. Slowly, carefully, the rangers unlatched the gate. For a brief moment, no one moved. Then, as the gate swung open, the mother lion stepped forward, her movements slow, deliberate. She didn't charge, didn't growl. She was cautious, afraid that this was some kind of trick. But when her cub took a hesitant step toward her, she rushed forward and pressed her massive head against it, letting out a deep, throaty sound of pure relief. The cub nuzzled into her, weak but alive. A lump formed in the first ranger's throat. "She never gave up on it," he murmured. The mother licked the cub's face, checking every inch of it, as if making sure it was truly there, truly safe. Then, she turned her head toward the humans. For a long moment she just looked at them. Not with fear, not with anger, but with something deeper. A quiet understanding, a silent gratitude. And then, without hesitation, she turned and began leading her cub back toward the wild. The rangers watched as the two disappeared into the golden grasslands, their figures blending into the landscape where they belonged. No one spoke for a long time. Then the driver, the same man who had stopped his truck that night, let out a shaky breath. "I don't think I'll ever forget this." None of them would. This wasn't just an animal rescue. It was a story of love, of devotion, of a mother's unwavering fight for her child. It was proof that, in the face of fear and uncertainty, trust could build bridges between worlds. And maybe, just maybe, it was a reminder to all of us. No matter where we come from, no matter the species, love is universal. If this story moved you, take a moment to appreciate the bonds that tie us all together. Support wildlife conservation, respect the creatures we share this planet with, and never underestimate the power of a mother's love.